Greetings, everybody. Hello, welcome. This is David from Psychedelics today with some friends from Homecoming and especially Yuri. So lovely to have you here. And it's going to be the two of us being somewhat ambitious. So we're going to do some screen sharing. We're going to do some role playing. We're going to give you a guided tour. And yeah, really talk about why um, Homecoming and Psychedelics today and Vital feel strongly about providing these services for practitioners around the world just to make life easier. So that's why we're here for the next hour. Welcome, everybody. Yuri, maybe I'll just say hello to you to start with. Where are you today?
Hey David, thanks for the invitation and hello everybody. I'm today in Toronto in Canada. It's still warm, but not for too long.
Yeah, I'm in Israel, so it's pretty warm over here. Been here a month now, really enjoying life. But it is late. So I think it's,
Yeah,
what is the time? Is it 8 o'clock for me at night? Not to worry. So I've got a cup of tea by my side. We'll have a couple of minutes of just schmoozing. It's going to be a pretty full hour. So maybe just as a heads up, folks, if you're on a laptop, that would be great. If you're on a phone right now, can probably make it work, but it would be great to be on a laptop just so you can kind of navigate looking at Homecoming, really seeing how it works. And we'll be, dropping a couple of links in the chat as well for you to open up. So if you can, grab your laptop wherever you are, that would be awesome.
yeah. Thanks for the show, David. Because we definitely are trying to be somewhat ambitious with the structure of the session today, where I personally have been a part of so many webinars in the past where you kind of just listen and it's fairly kind of predictable how they run. And like we decided, like, what if there's an experiential way to do this? What if we can show you like firsthand throughout this session, like the value and the experience of using Homecoming and like supporting a client and supporting a practitioner in the workflow. And that's the ambition. We seek your permission to take you on this journey with us through the rest of the call, and hopefully it will be fun and useful for everybody.
Mm. Yeah, and I want to just shout out, we've got a couple of Vital students here in the audience. So awesome having you. And yeah, I'd love to hear your feedback um, during this webinar. And yeah, we've got our lecture coming up in an hour as well today. So we can talk about it in our lecture. And just before we start, you are welcome to use the chat box to drop any questions that you want to ask. We are going to have Q&A at the end of the session. So feel free to drop them in the chat box now if you want, and we'll get to them in a little while. Or you can just kind of ask them yourself, because we're doing this in a pretty informal way. We're not doing this in webinar mode. So you are here, your screens and videos are live. So if you want to ask it live a bit later, we can definitely do that. Okay. So I'll just give it one more minute. I don't think I've got any other announcements from my end, but yeah, just really excited by the concept of learning. We're developing quite a lot of new courses here at Psychedelics today. We've got a Jewish informed psychedelics course starting in a couple of weeks, and we're really just looking at, what do people want to learn? And something that I'm seeing as a real value with Homecoming is how to make life simpler, how to succeed in starting a business and just managing some of the more complicated aspects of, being an integrated practitioner, being a coach, being a therapist. And one of those, is the administrative side of it, and that in itself has so many different aspects. So, looking forward to seeing how Homecoming plugs that gap, because like learning is about the theory, the science, yes, the therapeutic clinical pieces, but it's also just how to how to run a business, how to manage your files, your administrative workload. So that is something that we need to learn. I'm a social worker. I didn't do an MBA, and I've got some big weak spots when it comes to management administration. So yes, I'm hoping that Homecoming can help me with that. All right, so that was David plugging some space there, if you didn't guess. What I would like to do now is officially just welcome our friends from Homecoming, particularly Yuri, CEO and founder of Homecoming, to this webinar. We're going to make it fun. We're going to make it interactive. And yeah, if anyone's got questions, pop it into the chat box, and we'll do some Q&A at the end. Maybe I'll just start off by asking you, Yuriy, what is Homecoming and why did it come about? And why do you feel like you in particular needed to be the man to kind of found this company and yeah, solve that problem? So 4 questions in one. That's how I roll.
Yeah. It's a lot of questions in one. And like, I'll start like I'll start with the beginning and like the calling. Like, and I truly consider the decision to found Homecoming was not really a decision. It was a calling that like I didn't have almost a free will to choose. I just like could not found it. And the calling was that like as a human species, like it's our birthright to experience these transformational psychedelic experiences that we all are so fond of, I'm sure, in this webinar. And these experiences have helped me tremendously in my own life. And I felt like now that they have helped me, I would love to give back. I would love to find a way to facilitate the graceful integration of psychedelic experiences into the fabric of modern culture. And in my experience, it was always that the role of a practitioner is like that kind of the bottleneck. Like, and as a technologist, as somebody who has spent like a whole lifetime like building technology platforms and toolings, I thought, okay, this is something I can help out. I'm not a practitioner like you all, but like I can be a servant. I can be a humble servant to practitioners and create tools that amplify the work of you all. Just for some context on like who I am and how like I come to do this work. So like I grew up in Ukraine, but I moved to Canada about 20 years ago to study mathematics at the University of Waterloo. And since then, I was kind of spending the last like 15 years just building technology companies of all kinds and shapes, usually as an early employee. And at one of them, I had the privilege and opportunity to develop what was back then, 10 years ago, the first in the world a mental health safety net for people using social media and experiencing acute crisis with their mental health right there, right then. And what we've created then with the team was kind of this ability to identify such people, reach out to them, offer help, triage the severity, and then have a scalable safety net to get them into a peer-to-peer support group where people would help one another. And it worked like a charm. 200,000 teenagers in the US were helped out in their distress with efficacy, but also it was personally, it was much more than that. It was like a wake-up call. Okay, it is actually possible to do mental health and technology in one. I can make a living out of that. And since then, there was no looking back. I thought, okay, I want to do that for the rest of my life. And in parallel to working with startups, I was already involved with a nonprofit community because for a while in psychedelics, there was no way to engage in the community other than by being a part of nonprofits. And so about 7 years ago, I met Jesse Gould, who is the founder of Heroic Hearts Project, which is now a leading nonprofit for veterans with PTSD, access and psychedelics. Back then, it was a 5 days old organization with no paperwork and legal structure of any kind. We met up in Colombia. He invited me to join the team because of my passion for ayahuasca plant medicine specifically and the connections in that community. And so I've spent years helping Jesse make HHP what it is now, like a leading nonprofit. And it was really through that work with veterans and plant medicine community where I saw the need for something like Homecoming consistently, where we could obviously see that like, without integration coaching or integration therapy, the results that our veterans could get were like not as impressive. And so whenever we would team them up with the practitioners, we could tell just how much stress on their time it was to not only do the coaching itself, but all the logistical bits and pieces in between the sessions that required communicating content and resources, or maybe sharing some assessments before and after, or just catching up across all the WhatsApp and Signal and email messages and curating the best resources for this specific kind of client, given their unique socioeconomic profile. Things like that felt like, on one hand, slowing down the practitioner, but also it felt like perfectly addressable with something like technology. So around the end of 2020, during the COVID year, I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this full time, like with all my commitments. in terms of tech startups, and decided to launch Homecoming full time, first as a platform just for the psychedelic community. And then what we have quickly learned over the next year is that the needs of the psychedelic community practitioners were actually really, really similar to the needs of people in the broader holistic ecosystem, integrative practitioner ecosystem, be those somatic therapists or IFS practitioners or I don't know, yoga even practitioners or energy healers. Like it got like a full spectrum of from the most medical to the most mystical types of practitioners who were in this integrative community. They all share the one universal belief and commitment to a certain principle, which is the client principle of client agency. Like, and what I mean by that is that in the legacy model of care, there was in a simplified terms, like there was a model where a practitioner is almost fixing their client, and the client comes for more sessions to be fixed and treat their symptoms and get the healing. While in this kind of integrative model, it's really the role of a practitioner is frequently positioned more as a kind of someone who can catalyze that kind of inner capability for change, somebody who can inspire and support and guide and structure that process within, but ultimately it's on the client to do the change. It's on the client to transform their life. And in this integrative model of care, then there's this emphasis on like, what is it that happens after a session? What is it that the client can do on their own? What is it the provider can do to see their progress and maybe support in just the right moment, just the right time with efficiency and at scale across all their clients? And that's what we realized Homecoming's true North Star mission is, like, how might we support this entire community of integrated practitioners, holistic practitioners, and their ability to awaken that healer within each client of theirs. And that's what we are now.
Beautiful. Thank you, Yuri. Yeah, I like what you're saying. It's actually making me remember what it's like working for a massive hospital health system in Manhattan, New York, and in New Jersey, where what we've got is very complicated electronic medical record, which is, you need like a PhD just to navigate it. And there's really no choice for me as a social worker, as a practitioner, about how to use it. There's not really any kind of creative kind of curation of how I interact with a patient or a client. It's all prescribed. Everything's down there. Everything's very formal and scientific. And I think why psychedelic therapy, integrative, holistic kind of treatment is different. Each of us is a little bit different in how we approach this work of what our role is with a client, of how we want to interact with them. And so we kind of need I think a system that enables us to express ourselves in that way. It's not this massive EMR. It's actually, a little bit smaller, and like we create it. And I haven't found that yet. I've been using Google Drive and, Doxy and lots of other programs that, just kind of bits and bobs bolted onto each other. But I'm really feeling that, one, we need a system that enables us to create something that expresses who we are as a practitioner and enables us just to do it in an empowered and simple way. And then two, a way to just connect with each other, to find the others. And Vital, we've got a circle group that we use for that. And, we share notes, and we've got a signal group as well. But I feel like, there's somewhere else we could go a little bit more deeply as a community, sharing resources, learning from each other. And so I'd love to find out a little bit more about Homecoming. I know we're going to kind of dive into it and have a look behind the scenes, but I just wanted to ask if there's anything more particularly around the kinds of people that Homecoming is for. So you've given a few examples. Are there any, just giving a bit of a broad list of what kinds of practitioners could use it if they wanted to? What kinds of jobs would they have? What kinds of roles and relationships would they have with their clients and patients in order to use Homecoming?
Yeah, thanks, David. For sure. As I share, like, what kind of practitioner archetype we're looking for, it's a practitioner who is treating their client as a whole person with their like physical, emotional, intellectual, cognitive, and even spiritual needs, taking a full picture. It's a practitioner who believes that the real kind of work in client transformation starts when the session ends, and as such kind of practices rather frequently kind of some kind of follow-up dynamic where like there are like there's content on resources or assessments or some kind of guidance shared after a session to drive the client transformation between sessions. And when it's like comes down to specifics and examples, I can even like share kind of a quick panel of like practitioners listed on our website just to kind of show you some examples. So we have psychedelic integration coaches, we have transformational coaches like i.e. life coaches, we have IFS practitioners, we have functional medicine practitioners who are from the more medical side of things. We also have feminine embodiment coaches and men's work coaches, like which became its own communities in recent years. So really, you can see there's a diverse range of the types of people who use homecoming, but they're also very common. There's this emphasis on client responsibility, this emphasis on independent client work, and emphasis on the holistic, whole person perspective at the client's identity and client's perspectives on progress. And when we met with many practitioners of this kind, I would say by now, it's not yet thousands, but I would say for sure in hundreds that like number of people I've had a chance to spend an hour with and like talk to and learn about their needs. It comes down frequently to the same few kind of key practitioner areas where homecoming aspires to support. It's of course supporting the client transformation, the client outcomes. How might we enable each practitioner to get the best outcomes for their clients? And like homecoming really aspires to encapsulate all the learnings and best practices around client transformation, around client support, and make that in a very intuitive, simple, practitioner-friendly manner, so that your time is protected to do the real client work, like the sessions, the kind of the work that you're excited to do, and not for the logistics and admin nuances of like doing all that back office work. Secondly, in our research and our conversations and community engagements, we haven't yet met a practitioner in the integrative space that is not consistently learning and picking up new techniques, new modalities, new resources. It's just such a common habit, just trying to get better every day, every week. And so homecoming is designed to be a place also that kind of helps you make that process of continuous learning a bit easier. In our case, it means we are curating a lot of content and resources from practitioners and training programs like Vital to be available for practitioners so that they can like see the best practices, see the best resources from the whole holistic ecosystem and curate those into your own library so you can share those with clients or for your own enrichment. And thirdly, of course, every practitioner is spending time and worries about like, how can I expand my practice over time? And what we have learned is that some of the best ways to grow your practice are not social media. It's not really like Google ads or things like that. It's referrals. It's referrals from peers, and referrals from like current clients. And so homecoming is kind of, it's something we are still creating, but like the ability for your past clients to like very easily refer business to you, and also the ability to establish horizontal relationships with practitioners across other modalities, across other professional communities, so that a coach can refer somebody to a therapist or to a somatic practitioner, or to IFS practitioner, to a hypnotherapist. We see that dynamic is very common in this holistic community, where what we call a constellation of care is formed around the client, where people of different modalities kind of cross-refer people to one another based on the kind of unique client case, or even care collaboratively on the same client at the same time. The collaborative care model is something we are very bullish on as a team, and we would love to be the place that enables the collaborative care model within the holistic ecosystem. And that's the third pillar of homecoming vision.
That third piece is really interesting, actually, Yuriy, because I think a lot of us tend to only have contact with folks with the same license, same training, same school, even same geographical area, so that something like this would really help us to expand that kind of bubble. So it's one big ecosystem bubble. In our Vital course, that's been one of the most amazing things, that we've had students come into Vital that are doing completely different things to each other, like completely different things. And that itself, we've learned so much from having, you know, like a death doula and a yoga teacher and a naturopath and a tarot card reader and a psychiatrist and a nurse and a midwife in one group together talking about working with their clients. Like, wow. that is the richest learning environment you can have. So if you can have that on a online community, brilliant.
Yeah, and it's the norm, like, right? Like, it's this diversity, it's the norm, not the oddity. It's almost like rare to have a very homogeneous group of psychedelic practitioners in the room. Typically, it just naturally forms in a very diverse and kind of non-homogeneous way.
And we're going to do a guided tour of Homecoming. So Yuri's going to show us around the hood. So if you don't yet have a laptop, if you grab one, if you can. If you're on a phone, don't worry, we'll make it work. But it's better to be on a laptop if you can. One thing I want to tell folks as well, something we're talking with Yuri and his team about at Homecoming is putting some of our content from Psychedelic Today, kind of the best of the best, into Homecoming as a library, both as a free access library for anyone to look at, to bring into your practice, to share with clients, to kind of do ongoing professional learning, as well as if you want to just be part of kind of the vital Psychedelic Today community, then you can kind of join that select group within Homecoming. So it really looks like a great way of just staying connected that we're already doing already on Circle, but we can just kind of amp it up through Homecoming. So I'm really excited to see how that can look once we've managed to get some content up there and integrate together. So without further ado, great to see a few new faces join us. Welcome everybody. Yuriy is going to guide us through Homecoming and how to actually to join ourselves right now. And it's no payment, no credit cards. It's just a free guided tour. So over to you, Yuriy.
Thanks, David. And just like as a heads up, I'll just give you a quick overview of the structure of the next 25 minutes. Basically, the way we thought about it is like we'll design it is a sequence of like quick 5-minute modules where like first 5 minutes will just give you a quick tour around like how to sign up for an absolutely free account, no card required. I'll take you through the process, and at the end of that, what we'll do is we'll open up a kind of test client record within Homecoming, and I'll share a list of a few personas, client personas, and if one resonates with you for like role play exercise, great. What we'll do next is then we'll split up everybody in like groups of 2 people where you can just collaboratively with another practitioner like yourself discuss how would you follow up with a client like that after a session. And once we come back, I'll take you through the process of how to use Homecoming to send a follow-up after a session to a client in a way that would support them and the time that you're not with them after the session. And then we'll have a Q&A. So it's all fairly straightforward, and don't worry, I'll be going very slowly through each step again. And let's get right into it. So I'm going to share my screen now, and I encourage you all to go to your Google Chrome or Safari or whatever browser you use and go to the website homecoming.health. So it's the address is here on my screen as well. It's homecoming.health, and I'll just give everybody a few moments to open that website in your browser.
I just dropped it into the chat box if that makes it any easier for anybody. Homecoming.health.
Yeah. And just got a beautiful, kind-hearted message from Osceola River House. Thank you so much for the feedback on the purpose of the platform. Like, definitely it's designed with people like you in mind. All right, so now that we're all here, let's create a free account right away. So you can just type in your email right here. I'll just use my email, but like, please use your own email here, which you will then be able to access as your practitioner account. And just click Start Free Trial. I think I have just logged into my prior account, so I'll just please ignore this, and I'll actually create one from scratch. You should see something different right now. Yeah. And in the second screen, you should be able to just enter 2 fields, full name and the password. There's nothing else required to sign up. I'll just come up with some. And you should be able to create an account at this point by clicking create account. Any issues so far with error messages, anything that prevents you from signing up, raise your hand or post a question to the chat box, and somebody from our team, Keith Eben or Adam, will be able to assist, or myself. But let's all create an account by now. And at this point, what the system will show you is a quick guided tour of the platform, and I'll take you through this guided tour as well with my voiceover. Let's begin. So, and it's in its nutshell, in its essence, Homecoming is a way for you to manage all your client engagement, all your client communications in one place. So, of course, the primary view of Homecoming would be like your ability to add all your clients and see their progress, their like engagements with what you've shared with them. Can share, follow up with them after a session. And something, and we'll cover this in more detail, but something to keep in mind, your clients will never need to download any special mobile app or anything. They'll just get your messages and communications in their email or SMS. While for you, this is the one place that can help you keep it all there instead of like running across WhatsApp, Signal, emails, all that. So just giving you a heads up. And secondly, Homecoming offers you a way to centralize all the resources, all the library of content and resources, assessments, videos, audios, whatnot in one place, so that you can curate, structure all that individually. You can also, like as David has mentioned, you can add content from other practitioners and educators like Vital. And over time, this can become the single place for you to centralize all that helps you, all the resources that help you practice at the top of your abilities with your clients. And then from a practical step, it is also a place for you to communicate, of course. And one of the ways how practitioners communicate, of course, is like on a basic level, you can send chats and messages. That's easy, but also something that's very unique to integrative care and holistic practitioner work is this need to send a structured follow-up after a session so that the energy, the insights, the momentum of a powerful client interaction is captured and carries them forward in all the time until the next session happens. And so here you can just see a preview of how that looks like when you're creating that follow-up after a session. You can see your client notes referenced in the left pane. You can hide them if you need to. You can record a voice note. You can add action items, resources, assessments. You can be as elaborate or as simple as you want when you share the client follow up, and for a client they will get it in their inbox or SMS, or if some of them are adventurous, they can even download a special mobile app for that, but like that's not mandatory at all. And so this enables a single record, a single way for you to see all the engagements with your clients in one place, and you can see different follow-ups you've shared with them over time, whether they completed activities and resources, like what were the forms and assessments that they have filled out, and like how those trend over time. You can see all the chats and messages in between sessions. So it really kind of helps you have a clean, focused area where you keep all your client records in one. And of course, to wrap this up, there are some just basic nuts and bolts of any practitioner's life, and that's scheduling sessions and collecting payments. And we support both of those as well with the Stripe and Calendly integrations. And it is what it is, just is. It's simple and it just works. So let's get in. That's Homecoming. Let's start your 90-day free trial. And this is the home view. Let me just get the store. That's just the home view. It's that's the default view. And as I mentioned, the couple core areas that we'll be probably using the most in this workshop would be the view of all your clients. We have pre-populated everybody's view with just one demo client. You can, of course, add as many as you want by clicking Add Clients and just adding their name and email. But for now, I'll just close this to keep things simple. If we click in the demo client, you can just see your ability to send them messages, your ability to send them follow-ups after a session. We have pre-populated a couple of follow-ups here just for demonstration purposes. You can take notes, and we'll try to do that later in the session. You can see the activities that you've shared with them before and whether they have completed them or not, and some basic account settings. So all the stuff you would expect to have in a client record in a system like that, it's all there. And the only other view I wanted to show you quickly as well, so I'll just skip this guidance. It's the library. That's the place where you can curate all your resources. That's where, for example, Vitals content collection would show up as an option for you to be added as well. We have pre-populated some content by default, but it's yours to customize and structure the way you need it. So that's all I want to show at this point. Just pause for a second. David, anything that I should have added so far?
No, I think that looks great. You know, I just want to maybe pause and see if there's any questions around what everyone just saw. So there's a lot under the hood there. Normally things that as a practitioner, we'd have to really, you know, just search around for, oh, where did I put that? And let me just drag that in from that program to that program. So for me, just seeing that, yeah, gosh, there's a lot of stuff there. There's, you know, client notes, there's communication directly with clients backwards and forwards. There's assessment tools, there's resources, there's scheduling, you know, just to have that all in one place. So in case anyone was like, what's this, what's that? It's everything all in one. Like that's, you know, that's the whole point of it. So any questions around what you just saw that wasn't quite clear before we kind of move on?
So I'm looking at the chat box. There are actually a couple of questions privately coming in, so I'll read them out loud, and they're good questions. So one question from a Solar River House is whether you need to have clients already to sign up for Homecoming. Like, what about if you don't have clients just yet? So no, you don't need clients to sign up for Homecoming. And in fact, like, we have a good number of practitioners who sign up for Homecoming after training as a way to prepare themselves for like starting to engage clients in the market, and like basically as a way to show up like a seasoned professional to their first few client engagements. And you don't need to worry about the payments because there's a 90-day free trial. And if that's not enough, actually just like message me privately and we'll be able to extend that for you until you have a few clients. So definitely, absolutely not as an answer to the question whether you have to have clients to just get started. In fact, it probably can help you get more clients as you get started.
Yeah, and there's another question, actually, if we're going to dip into the questions from Kathy around, is it HIPAA compliant? And if so, how, you know, how have you managed to do that?
Yeah, it is HIPAA compliant. We have designed Homecoming from day one to be HIPAA compliant. And so that means that on a technological level, we use medical grade infrastructure specifically designed for HIPAA compliance at the level of server infrastructure. So we have all that in place. And moreover, the entire team has gone through an extensive training around HIPAA compliance. We followed the procedures, policies, and protocols that make us HIPAA compliant as a platform, even like as early as like last year, like when we were still kind of just getting up and running. So those are part of our design thinking process since day one. And happy to share more details about who's our infrastructure provider and any other questions on that front as well.
Thank you, Yuri. And maybe before we move on to do our role plays, just there's one or a couple of questions I'll combine around the notes feature. So writing, you know, client notes, session notes, are they private? Are they signable? So can we sign them and they're now kind of attested to, and they're kind of time stamped, I guess is one question there. And also, you know, can they be sent to the client to sign? Could be another question there. And the third question is, you know, are they private to the extent that there's a way to take notes that should a judge or attorney ever request them, that they would not be included as part of a client medical record. So they're just separate to that. That third one's a bit more complicated. So
yeah, so let's go to the notes feature here, and I'll show the way it's designed right now. So here we have a couple of pre-created session notes. One is for the intake of the demo client, another one is for session one. So these notes are private. They only are seen by you and for you. And it's up to you to decide what to share with the client. So for example, if I was to share now a follow-up after a session with this person, I would go to follow-up, and when I would start creating that follow-up message to them, I could refer to notes here. So for example, here I could have the session one and the intake notes available in a scrollable list. It's all private, but I can copy what I need to copy. Like, so for example, if I want to share, like, for example, just the homework assignments and next session focus, I can just like refer to it here and share it with the client. And I can then maybe record also a voice note just saying, hey, as a follow-up to our session, I'm sending the homework assignments to the next session focus area that I would like you to spend some time on as we prepare for the next week. So now they would also have this voice note with maybe some clarifications on what to do with that. And I can also attach some resources and items as well as I create this package. But like going back to the notes question that you have had, whatever you share with the client, whatever you choose to share, has to be explicitly shared. Otherwise, it's all private by default. And what was the second element of that?
I think there was another question about signing. So sometimes when we sign in an electronic medical record, it'll timestamp it, and then you can potentially go back in and then reopen that timestamp and then sign it again, and then it'll have a second timestamp underneath, or you can send it to the client to be signed. But normally just the first one. I think when the clinician signs it, it will be timestamped there.
Yeah. So in our case, let's go back to this. There is timestamping there. It's probably operating a bit differently from what you have described because it really shows when it was last saved. In this case, 11 minutes ago. That's the timestamp that we have. We do not have the kind of timestamping that's kind of more like almost like sequential and like stamps it every time there is an edit. It just it wasn't really kind of requested previously, but I would love to kind of unpack that question like with the person who is asking, and would love to understand better the use case and scenarios, because it's not hard to create. I'm just trying to understand what kind of practitioner, what kind of practice use case like would be enabled by doing this.
Great. Okay, I think that's good for now. And there's other questions, and by all means, do put more questions in the chat box. But because we only had an hour for this, we want to move to the next part of the webinar, which is more interactive. It's more kind of role play.
Yeah. And I think the question about signing, I kind of got a clarification in the chat box. It's like, so for intake docs, can they be signed? And yeah, basically in your library, you can share forms with the person that can be then filled out by the client, and you will see when they're filled out by the client, and you will definitely, that's an authenticated view. So the client, you will have the certainty it was the client who filled that out. And we also have the ability for you to share PDF forms in a way that clients can return and assign banner as well. If that's the question, like around the logistics of signing intake forms, like, yeah, we do support that for PDF files. And,
right. Yeah, and I think that just helps with the paper trail. Okay, welcome back. I know that was very quick. And yeah, always fun in Zoom breakout. So we've got about 9 minutes left. So let's see how much we can squeeze in. Some folks are still in breakout, so they're on their way. Kathy and John, you're both vital students. Kathy was in cohort 1, John's in cohort 2. So good to see you both here. Kathy, do you have a question?
I do. Yuriy, I have already signed up. I actually was in process of changing over from an EHR I've been using for years as a clinical licensed person. And I really love your apps. If they will remember in Vital in my class, I was always talking about the art of therapy. I'm sick to death of hearing about evidence-based modalities, even though I have lots of training in lots of them and use them. but your app really supports the art of therapy, I think. It's really got something that a lot are missing. And I'm really excited to use it and figure it all out. One question I have, so I made myself a client. I sent myself a document. I got the email. When I clicked on it, it just took me back to the site. Is that because I was still signed in and I should sign out and try that as a client?
I would love to see where it took you. Typically, there would be like a button that you click, and it opens up a website view, a website page that shows the content of that follow-up, and we can kind of review that as a demo. Keith, do you have ideas what happened?
I do. Well, first, I would say Kathy would love to kind of talk with you more about it, and maybe we can schedule a separate call. But just off the top of my head, I think your intuition is right. If you were to log out of your provider dashboard, I think what it's doing is recognizing you're already logged in and taking you back there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks. Yeah, and I'd love a call like that. That'd be fabulous.
Absolutely, and thank you for the words, the kind words. Definitely tried to capture the art of therapy. That was the mission.
Beautiful. Thanks, Kathy. Okay, so I hope that was okay. Just that little exploration in pairs. Yuri's now going to do another screen share just to show how you record some session notes and then move it forwards to a follow-up for the next session.
Yeah, absolutely. So just for clean experiment, I'll go back to my homepage, I'll go to clients, I'll open the demo client, which was sort of my client for this work. I open the notes. The role play notes are here. I put some very simple bullets. I registered that my client would have chronic pain issues, some somatic issues, like we would discuss yin yoga recommendation as part of their daily or weekly routine, as well as also some breath work exercises around the bedtime as well to help them fall asleep and ease the ability to manage the chronic pain issues. And so at this point, I will send a follow-up to capture those insights. As I'm creating the follow-up, I actually want to kind of refer back to my notes. It's like to remember like what was discussed there. In my case, I'll record a voice note. Hey, demo client, Yuri again. So in this session, we have discussed that your chronic pain issues are preventing you from like quality sleep. I recommend following some of the resources that I shared with this follow-up around yin yoga and breathwork exercises. See below and let me know if you have any questions through Homecoming. So I'm gonna send this voice note to them and I'll attach a few resources from the library. So in this case, I'll add this breathing practice, which is a YouTube link really. And I will create a new resource, something that actually is not in the library yet, but I just want to show you how this would be done. You can always add a new resource. In my case, I want to share something about yin yoga. Let's find some video. I'll copy this link and I'll paste it here. Introduction to yin yoga. And I'll attach this to the follow-up. So this client will receive 2 resources, both videos, one about yin yoga, one about meditation, and I'll add an action item. What I'll ask them here is reflect on the connection between your body and the experience of pain in a journal. And it's just an action item that can cross it off when it's done. So I'll send this.
And Yuri, before you send it, I saw another little piece. Oh, don't worry. It said, make this actionable. What does that do if you do make it actionable? There's a little checkbox.
It really means that like any content item can be turned into not just as a reference material, but also it can be an action item of its own. So for example, the breathing practice could be made actionable and then the client can check that off. It's like, hey, I have completed that breathing practice. And you as a practitioner can see that they have completed that breathing practice rather than just simply they have access to that breathing practice. So it's just a way to make something actionable, quite literally. And so this follow-up was shared with them at this point, and yeah, like I would love to encourage you all to send the follow-up of this kind as well to your demo client and ask any questions.
Love it. So we got 5 minutes left. John asked a good question. How much does this cost? So you got 90 days for free, which is great. No credit card details. So it's kind of just dip in and have a play around. What happens after those 90 days?
Yeah, so our typical pricing would be $49 a month if you pay month to month, and $39 if you pay annually. But for Psychedelics Today community, actually, we have offered a much better price point where it's $24 a month if you pay month to month after 90 days, or $19 a month if you pay annually. So it roughly adds up to $228 a year if you pay annually, or $288 a year paid in 12 installments of $24. And there are no limitations. You can use it with as many clients as you want. You can access the content we share. It's really kind of one price, no hidden fees.
Got it. Thank you. And that's in US dollars, yes.
Yeah.
Seven, do you want to ask you a question? I just unmuted you. Hi there.
Oh, sure. So in the historical data in the profile, I noticed there's not really a place to put address and the information that you would compile from an intake. Does that populate after you do it?
Hello?
Or is there a different place?
Yeah, so what we've seen practitioners do for all that rich information, like just they create a note and like they kind of just like paste that information in note with like client record. But if there are very specific fields that you feel like are very standardized that are not present there, I would love to learn if you'd be open to schedule maybe like a conversation with me like after the call, like later next week or something like that. Like I would love to understand everything you would want to see there, and we can discuss how we can add it.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Great seeing you again, Seven. Quick question. Do practitioners need a special code to get this Psychedelic Today special offer, which is really beautifully generous? Thank you very much indeed for that. How do they kind of access that and activate it?
The way we have designed it right now, like all the accounts you have created during this session will automatically qualify for this offer. So you don't need to do anything special for that. This will be just the pricing will apply in the back end to your account, assuming you have created it during this session. And if you, for some reason, like maybe technical glitches, couldn't create it during the session, just message me personally. We'll set that up for you. Don't worry about missing out on the opportunity. But no special action required otherwise.
Thank you. That's awesome. And we did have a question as well. If you can do a very quick screen share, how to record a note on the notes page, because someone's trying to do it on their free profile, but not sure how to do that. But yeah, that'd be great to see how to record a note again.
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to the home page. Then I'll click on the Clients tab right here. I'll open the demo client. I may as well create a new client just to show quickly how that's created. So I'll skip the phone number for now, but this could be eventually used for like SMS communication as well. I'll add this client. I'll go to Joanna's record here. And when I click, by default, it shows messages.
Oh.
But I can go to notes as well. And I can create a first note for Joanna right here. And note one. And I can create a new one as well here. Note two.
Yeah,
you can have as many.
I'm sorry, where is the microphone to be able to record it? Where would you go for the microphone?
Got it. So this would be in the follow-up when you're creating a follow-up with Joanna.
Okay.
And you can click on this microphone here. And as you create a follow-up, you can dictate.
All right. I see it now. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
I also see you've got Grammarly built in there, so it can help with the with the spelling. That's awesome. Rebecca, I know we've gone slightly over, so if anyone needs to jump, we'll just finish off with one question from Rebecca, then one from Amanda in the chat box. Rebecca.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, I work with groups. Is there a way to do this with a group?
Today, not. Within weeks, yes. Actually, we are just scheming with the team. How can we add group support in the coming few weeks? So, Rebecca, if you would be open to connect with me to share your vision, how groups ideally would work for you, we would build that into the group dynamic. And yeah, we actually treat this as a very high priority capability for this fall.
Would
So
love that. Yeah, I'd like that ability to be able to have notes individually, but then also if they're part of a bigger group, send to the group as well.
Yeah, like a group follow-up message to everybody at once. Yeah, that would be something we can fairly easily add. Actually, it's of all the ways groups can work, this would be one of the easier dynamics to enable.
Awesome. This is amazing. Love it.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you.
All right, so final question, Amanda, do you want to unmute for that? You're welcome if you wish.
Hi, so I'm feeling like it's quite an American platform. Is it going to be operational in the UK?
Yeah, there are no global limitations of any kind for the platform. It's currently used by practitioners across the globe. The only thing is like it is HIPAA compliant, which means the technical infrastructure is in the US. So if that's not an issue for you, then there's no other way there's no other restriction. It's like the only thing is like the computers are themselves located in the US, and it's typically fine for almost everybody, but there could be some cases where some people will need the servers to be located in their country, and we don't currently do that in the UK.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just thinking about, well, my question was really about integrating with Squarespace. So they use, I think it's Acuity scheduling. I don't know whether you need any kind of widget, or I don't know what.
An integration, because yeah, I think you're using Calendly with Homecoming. Do you know, is there an integration for that with Squarespace?
So currently we only support Calendly. So if you would need to use Acuity, basically you can just like skip integrating Calendly altogether and just like use your Acuity for scheduling, and then like just like add the clients as they come into Homecoming. There's no hard requirement for you to connect Calendly, even though like it is offering definitely a slightly more streamlined experience when you also have your Calendly and Stripe connected. But happy to also schedule an onboarding call to kind of take you through those details together. And as Keith has shared on the screen, we do invite you all to kind of to schedule time with us. Let's have you personally onboarded. Let's have more time to get to know each other and like talk through your needs and how can we support them. And also we have a Slack channel for practitioners like yourself, like our co-creators of Homecoming, where we can help out with any support inquiries in real time. This is where we also share early previews, early features, questions about, hey, like this is the way we're thinking about groups. Like, do you yay or nay this? Like things like that can show up here and there. And I would love to invite you all to our co-creator group as well. And also you can see our emails on the screen. Like mine is Yuriy at Homecoming with Health. Keith is our Chief of Staff and Head of Growth. Keith at Homecoming with Health. Would love to speak to you all and meet you all on Zoom, on Slack, anywhere else, ideally in real life at some point. Let's do some great work together.
Thank you. I love that you share your email addresses. God bless you. That's brilliant. Yeah, I love that personal touch. This has been really awesome to see behind the scenes how Homecoming works. Just really seeing how we would kind of work with a client and curate it and just make it personalized and unique to who we are. And great questions from everybody too. So I really love everyone's thinking like how you would use it. So yeah, thank you, Yuriy, Homecoming, and Keith. Really awesome having you here. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, and been really fun.
Thank you. And David, just as a confirmation, will I be able to send a note to everybody who was in the group with some of the kind of summary points and call to actions?
Yeah, we'll work with you to send an email to everybody with all the next steps and follow up. That sounds Awesome. You got it. And thanks again
Yeah.
for that discount. That was a beautiful surprise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'm looking, there are some unanswered questions. I'll make sure to answer everybody's questions that are in the chat box in private. I'll address them one by one, like over the email with you all.
All right.
Right.
Thank you once again, everybody. Have a lovely Tuesday evening.
Thanks,
Or
David.
Tuesday
Thanks,
morning.
everybody. Yeah, have a wonderful day, everybody.
God bless. Take care.